And welcome in, everybody, and welcome back to CBL Newscast, Podcast, whatever you want to call it. My name's Craig, aka Wolfie, and we have with us.
Skeletal Stevo, aka Steve. All right.
Welcome in, Steve. And in today's episode, we're going to be looking at the first league match of the season, which is the Cold Ones versus the Inbred Mountain Men, which is your team, and it's Steve.
Do we really have to talk about it? This is the bounce out about having a podcast, isn't it? Oh, well.
I do apologise, Steve. But
it's all right.
Well, so, we are going to take a look at the breakdown of the match of the Cold Ones versus the Inbred Mountain Men. And as you can see on the screen, it finished with 3-0 to the Cold Ones.
Yeah, I mean, those MVPs, what do you got to say about those, man?
The Viper of the Viper, the Saurus, that's the MVP on the screen. Definitely star player for the Lizardmen team of the match that day, I would say. Gaining 7 SPP in one match, that's a lot for a Saurus.
I still think he cheated, but whatever.
And your player, Steve, Ivana Bob.
Yeah, I mean, Ivana, I mean, seriously, MVP, over top of that source all day. Even though even with an injury, I got MVP. But that's part of the reason why it sucks, because they're injured, and now I can't try to get more. But, you know.
Yeah. But I mean, good healthy amount of SPP in that game there. 5 SPP.
Yeah. I mean, again, hats off to Foxy for pulling out the win. I mean, I'm not gonna, I might get a little salty here and there, but all in all, it's a game.
Yeah.
You know, you can't control the dice, and I'm just happy to walk away with no deaths.
Yes.
Thank God, but we'll get into that later.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
So well deserved for the sources, and kind of a pat on the back for the Inbred Mountain Men.
Yeah. So, shall we have a look at some of the statistics from the match on here? Obviously 3 touchdowns, 11 armor breaks. That is a lot of armor breaks. But I suppose it was kind of to be expected with having 6 strength 4 players on there plus a strength 5. You was kind of up against it, really. Even though they didn't have skills to start off with, still very, very hard to go up against that amount of strength 4 players.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, it also we've seen it where the big guys end up rolling very poorly as well, and you know the tables could have turned. It's I mean, it's well deserved. I think that, like I said, I think Foxy definitely put his positionals where they needed to be. The strength 4 did help out a lot, because then it only needed 1 player versus 1 of mine to get. Or, I'm sorry, even with 2 of my players would have given them a +1.
Yeah.
On the dice roll, but I mean, he built a good team. He got the win. He got 3 touchdowns, which will definitely be a very healthy lead going into the beginning of the league.
Yeah. Coming on to your team, Steve. 2 armor breaks. It gives a Lizardman team. It's still not bad. Although it could have been a lot better, but that was down to dice rolls. 1 expulsion. So 1 sending off, Steve. That could be interesting viewing of that footage when we get to it. And 1 successful pass by the looks of it as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, and you know who that was? I'll give you a hint. It wasn't the person you thought it was supposed to be. So, of course.
Well, while we're on the theme of stats, let's flick across the stats, shall we?
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. So just so everybody knows, as we're staying true to form, all these percentages, we're not even paying attention to them.
No.
Okay, we don't do percentages for going forwards or nothing like that. It's just how we play. We play for fun.
Yeah.
But we are going to look at some of the successful KOs inflicted to start off. And it looks like the cold ones got one, and I got a goose egg.
Yeah.
Again, to be expected with Strength Force stuff. And I did try
Yeah.
multiple times, and you'll see later.
Yeah. It's
I tried.
that high armor value in it from those lizardmen.
Yeah.
It's tough to break.
And with that, we go down to injuries inflicted. They inflicted two. If I remember right, one was definitely you could say, ball clincher, because I thought for sure somebody was going to go down, and they were pretty expensive. And I got 0 injuries. Again, I tried so hard to get something.
Yeah. You did.
And it just wasn't there. But that's fine. That's fine.
Certainly tried hard. I will give you that. With that, as you can see, blocks sustained by the Inbred Marmot 47 as opposed to the 20 that the current one's got. So clearly there was an advantage in the strength and the armor value coming from the Lizardman team. You've got 47 blocks against you, just showing that clearly your team suffered more in the short term as the game went on quicker than the Lizardman team did. So it means, unfortunately, you haven't had the strength of players or numbers of players, rather, to hold off the Lizardman team. So, yeah. Shall we move across to SPP?
Yeah, sure. Let's go ahead and take a look.
Obviously, we've already looked at the MVP player. There's 7 SPP. So the next one is I don't even know how to pronounce these names, but
It's okay. We can skip the source names because that's like speaking clicks and
But I do know
boogers.
the next player along on the list is a Skink. Got 6 SPP, and then obviously it got respective 3 SPP, which I believe was on another Skink, and the 2 SPP at the end there is for his Croxigar. The only reason I know that is because I remembered the name of the Croxigar. So yeah, a good healthy amount of SPP there for one game. Yeah.
18 is quite high.
The balance of dice and how the game went, I think.
Yeah. My team ended up getting the honorable mention, if you will, on Ivana Bob. And so they're at 5. One shy from a level, which is fine. I just wish it wasn't on my injured player. But it is what it is. And then Dark Bob for doing, which I thought was quite interesting. Dark Bob is my thrower. And Dark Bob didn't do a good job throwing, if I remember correctly. It was a blitzer that did that. Which is why Ivana Bob has 5.
It depends. If Dark Bob got what was classed as a successful pass, it might not have been a successful catch.
Well, then I apologize,
It
Dark.
may have been one, but yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I got a whopping 6. Woo!
So, I'm not going to dwell on it too much, Steve, because I know it was a tough match, and it's certainly not very nice when you have to go back over your own team when you've just had a 3-0 defeat like that. So rather than rubbing it in, we'll just move along to the dice rolls.
Sounds good to me. We'll start off with the cold ones, if you don't mind, since they're already up. And how do you feel about the cold ones rolls? Obviously, we said that they had good rolls, but how do you feel about these?
I'm actually quite surprised at the numbers of dice, to be honest, because you've got 17 scores, 19 birth downs, knowing that the Lizardmen team do not have block. That's a lot of scores and birth downs. which is very interesting. I mean, yes, they've got 16 pounds, 18 defender stumbles, 29 pushes, but for seeing how the game went, it seems as though the dice would have been a lot higher on the powers and defender stumbles than on the other end of things. So it's interesting.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, then let's look at the Inbred Mountain Men. Just like the scoreboard and my SPP, lackluster. I tried. I did. I did. Just 11 pals, 9 defender stumbles, 15 pushes, and then 5 both, and then 7 skulls. Again, the numbers are low just because of the fact that when I was on the back foot, I was struggling to try to get something to roll and get down, and it just having even if I had my whole team, 2 players to every source is a tough one to try to come up with. So
yeah, it certainly is. You was never going to be able to go punch, stand toe to toe with them. So your numbers was always going to be low on the amount of block dice you was able to throw. Because, like you say, on a 1-to-1 basis, the sources are easily willing 2 block dice to your 1. So you was always going to be up against it on that front. Although that being said, the block dice do not actually show, realistically, when you look at them, doesn't actually show how bad of a dice roll you was actually having. In the game, your luck with the dice rolls was really bad. I mean, I'm not rubbing it in, I'm just saying it was really bad. You was actually getting better dice rolls on the negative dice side as opposed to the positives.
Yeah, I definitely lifted up the skirts of the sources because at that point I was like, well, I mean, I got to do something, and why not? Let's just do uphill battles since I'm already a little bit down anyway. So.
Yeah. But that's what I mean. When you look at the dice rolls, it doesn't actually show how bad of a dice rolls that you was having. You know? Because relatively, normally when you look at it, 11 powers versus 7 scores, you would say that's a pretty decent sort of game. Generally. Yeah. But in reality, it didn't feel, certainly from a spectator's perspective, it didn't seem like that was the case. But the dice still lie.
Yeah. Speaking of which, let's look at the D6 rolls.
Yeah.
We'll just go from the mountain men.
Yeah.
And then roll over back to the cold ones.
Yeah. So there we go.
This is what I was surprised about, honestly. Like, that's a lot of D6 rolls for things.
It certainly is.
And it's quite even, actually.
You see, if you've
been doing, like that.
I mean, you have. I mean, a lot. You got to take into account with D6s. A lot of that is based off armor rolls as well as injury rolls. Pickups, passes, going for it, and all that. So you think about it in the grand scheme of things, injury rolls, not injury rolls. Sorry, armor rolls are probably the predominant factor in your D6 rolls. But even so, I mean, 26 sixes, 25 ones, very, very balanced when you look at it. I would say
stayed in like the mid-20s almost.
Yeah.
Mid-20s.
I mean, in all fairness to you, I mean, when you think about it, you've got 25 on ones and twos, 23, 26 on fives and sixes. There's only one difference between the two of them if you club them both together.
Yeah.
So, it just shows that it might have felt like he was getting really bad dice, but it might have been the case of you just getting the bad dice at the time you didn't need them.
Right.
Yeah, the key points in the match that necessarily you didn't want the dice to go the wrong way. You need them to go a certain way, and they've gone the wrong way, and that's what's changed the whole outcome of the game. So the rest of the game, you probably just had an impact on psychologically. Of it felt like he was having a lot worse a game than he was, but in reality, the bad rolls was only coming at the wrong times for you, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. The pass or like certain rushes that I literally was just like, F it, I'm just gonna run it and do a tackle zone and see what happens. That one would make it versus one that I was like, I need this to work, and then it didn't work. So
yeah, exactly. And then it sort of like goes into like a bit of a spiral, doesn't it, from there on?
yeah.
Yeah.
So what about the cold ones?
The curved ones a lot lower on the D6, which I'm kind of surprised of. So even though the curved ones have been getting your players down and stuff, they've not rolled a lot on armor rolls.
Yeah. It's
10,
weird.
10 successes, 2 failures. So there's only 12 armor rolls the entire match.
That's weird.
10 of those being successful breaks. So
yeah,
it shows the numbers, although they're not massively high in the amount of dice, they've come in clutch when he's needed them to come in clutch.
Right.
Right. All right.
Little Wolf, you cheated, and I'm gonna get revenge one day.
I didn't say that. No.
So, with that in mind, we do have coming up after this short break a guest interview.
Ooh. Who's it gonna be, Wolfie? I wonder.
Stay tuned. Bring in our guest speaker of the day, which is none other than Foxy, the coach for the Cold Ones.
Welcome, Foxy.
Hi.
Sweet. So let's go over your lineup real quick. Yeah? Just remind people. So right now you have a Lizardman team that is a Croc Cigar, 6 Sources, 4 Skinks, 2 Rerolls, an Apothecary, which I think that is one of the items that did you purchase after your game?
Yes.
Okay, and 3 Fan Factor. So if you don't mind, we got some questions right here in a handy dandy notebook, and if you don't mind, just tell us what you know and go with the flow.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So first question there, bud. Why did you pick Lizardman, and why this very strength-heavy setup?
Well, I mainly picked Lizardmen because I'm used to playing them, and they're one of my favorite teams in Blood Bowl itself. But the strength setup is mainly just to be able to help break open openings. Because with the fast skinks, it helps them to just go zipping through the enemy lines and get to the touchdown fast.
That's pretty plausible. Wouldn't you say there, Wolf?
Yeah. What's your question again, Steve?
My next question. Well, yeah, I'm getting there. Just making sure you didn't have anything to add. That's all.
No.
I'm a polite newscaster, sportscaster person. Okay. Anyway, obviously this is how we're gonna roll. Okay. So my second question is witnessing Nuffle ruining the Mountain Men's dice in the first half, because that was just really bad. Did you feel like you had the upper hand going forward?
Yeah, there was parts where it was a bit annoying because the Crocs guard just was always on the floor and I couldn't get him up in certain situations. But yeah, no, I definitely had the upper hand going forward.
Good. Anything else to add there, Wolf?
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. That characterization of how the game went. Those dice rolls were pretty bad on your half. I've got to admit.
We'll get to that when it's my time, okay?
Yeah.
It's not my time to shine yet.
No.
We'll talk about that when we get there.
But
all right, next question. Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right. So my next question to you, there were little Foxy there is in the second half, what was your focus after being 2 touchdowns up with a skink ready to score your third?
My focus was mainly just to make sure you couldn't get some touchdowns in. Make sure I had at least some, I don't know, what do you really call it? Some like advantage over. Keep my like a steady lead just in case if you did score a touchdown.
So for more SPP sort of thing then.
No, it was mainly just to get my skinks have some more SPP, but the Sauruses was mainly just there to stop him from moving his plays away and coming in.
Okay.
And I was mainly just knocking his plays down just to keep them to make sure they couldn't break through and go and get the ball being scored touchdown.
Awesome. All right. Well, Wolfie, you had a couple of questions yourself based off of the game.
So my first question, Foxy, would be what after the end of the game, you got your SPP for your players, and 2 players was able to upgrade with 6 SPP each. One was the Saurus and one was the Skink. What made you pick block on your Saurus and sidestep for your Skink?
For the Saurus, it's mainly just because obviously they don't come with any skill moves at the start, but so I kind of wanted to play it safe with the block, make sure that because you can get them unfortunate games where you get a lot of burst downs, and having that block really helps, especially going against like teams that have like a lot of block in the team, and that like one of the teams like Amazons, they've got a lot of block and dodge, and just be safe. You always want to have a block on a majority of your plays.
Yeah, solid plan that one. Sidestep for your Skink.
This skink was mainly because with the dodge, when they hit you, you don't really have a priority of where you want the skink, and sometimes it can push them where you don't want them on, where you just really want them a different location.
That's
so
very,
having the
true. It's also handy for not being surfed off a pitch as well, isn't it? So,
yeah. But yeah, also having sidestep means that if my skink has the ball and you go to push me off the pitch, I can actually just push them onto like say the touchdown line or get them close to the touchdown line so I can just dodge and score. That's the main reason.
So, next question I've got for you, Foxy, is are you looking forward to your next game against Deadman and his Chaos Dwarf team?
Yeah.
It definitely will be an interesting one. After what I've seen of his games, it's definitely gonna be interesting. Definitely not a team I've really played against. I played like 1 or 2 matches against Chaos Dwarfs. I think having a lot of their block in the teams can be hard, and especially with the Dwarfs having tackle. That's going to be hard, and the Centaurs as well with the speed. But I think if I can just block the Centaurs from getting down the pitch and use my Sauruses just to push the Dwarves away, then I might be able to get my Skinks down the pitch. It's but then again, you obviously the hobgoblins are also can be a threat. So it's a kind of just have to see how the match goes and like see where I need to place my lizard men and where to really strategically place them.
Anything to add to that, Steve?
I mean, that sounds like a solid plan. I know that Dead Man goes for blood when he plays. That's for sure. Are you worried about with your low amount of skinks? Um, do you feel a little bit of a threat, like making sure that those things are very well protected without
Um,
giving too much information away?
Yeah, well, that's one of the main reasons I went with a lot of strength is because I had a feeling with obviously because we played quite a few tournaments before, a lot of us have gotten a lot of bashy teams. So I went with the safe option with the heavy strength setup. Um, so I could just protect the skinks because I last time I played with Lisman, I had 6 horses and I think 5 or 6 skinks, and they kept on getting to my skinks too fast, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So I limited the skinks, which obviously comes with its own disadvantages, but having the extra defense also helps with keeping them safe. When it comes to him going for like say like fouling and that, my main priority is just score quick as possible, get maybe like 1 or 2 down in maybe the first half and then the start of the second half. And then just keep his players at bay, keep them off, like getting past like halfway on my side.
That sounds like a very solid plan. I've only got one more question for you, Foxy. And then probably Steve might have another one. Is there any teams or coaches you're worried about playing this season, or are you just going to concentrate on your own team build?
There is definitely a few which are a bit worrying. It kind of just depends on how the games prior before I go against them. Because if I can get like the right skill levels and like level ups on them, then it's definitely gonna be easy to go against them. I would say the ones I'm mainly worried about is the Norse, Amazons with blodgers, and the necromance. Is that one of them?
The undead team.
Oh, the undead team, yeah.
Yeah. Because the undead team with those 2 big mummies being strength 5, they're troublesome.
With no like debuffs to them, except from like they're really slow. That's it.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Well, we don't want to waste too much of your time, so what we'll do is we'll just ask you any closing statements. So, is there anything that you'd like to add before we let you go, so you can get back to the team and make sure that they're ready for your next game?
Have a good time in the league. Everyone was playing, and hope you guys enjoy it.
Awesome.
Right.
Well, thank you very much for being our guest and taking the time out to answer a couple questions.
No problems.
All the best for the rest of the season.
Yes, best of luck.
Okay. Right, thank you. Right, that's it.
Pretty solid answers, I tell you.
Yeah. I think we'll move on to the next interview.
Oh.
And welcome back, everybody. And we have our next guest speaker on, and it is the CBL Gobber.
Hi.
Oh, what the hell, Wolfie? I'm serious. Like, it's only been a day and a half, and you've already replaced me with the green shit stain? Seriously?
Welcome in, CBL Gobbler, and we'll come right back to Steve for his interview in a second.
Baby smell.
Oh, you son of a bitch. I'm going to hang you and roast you to dry when I get back in the office.
Try me.
Oh, I will. I mean, my dice rolls might be crap, but I'm coming for you. Get this intern, quote unquote, intern out of my chair when I get back, Wolfie.
I'm gonna run that butt all over your chair.
So, Steve, we've got you in on the phone from the office, to basically go over how you felt your game went, versus Foxy's Cold Ones. So how do you feel your first half went?
Well, you see,
Uh,
we went on the pitch, and we were doing really great. Our headspace was great. You know, the day before we were playing this thing called I think it was called skid ball. Yeah, skid ball. And what it is, you take your family member's baby, you roll it up in a ball, and you roll it down the hill to knock over some beer cans. Okay, and because you know you can't have full beer cans at the bottom, you know you got to drink them up first. That way they can fall over. You don't want to waste no good beer. I'm telling you that right now. So you know we played some beer, you know some of that, and I tell you what, I think maybe it was a bad choice. Now I know it doesn't sound like it's the best game ever, like Blood Bowl, but for us Red Dead Inbred Mountain Men, we are bona fide on our beer, babies, and babes. Okay, that's how we populate. That's how our tree don't fork. So I really think that we partied a little too hard, maybe for some people, but we were out there to have a good time. Uh, Even though we sucked.
All right. So, uh, well, very interesting theories there, Steve. So next question I have is, in all this madness of this wonderful game that you seem to be playing, did you happen to forget to pray to Nuffle for the Blood Bowl, or was it just, bad luck?
Well, to be honest, you know, we praise in the Lord Jesus Christ. You know, we may be hillbillies and stuff, but we got our priorities straight. Maybe that was a little bit of a negative. I think Nuffle definitely came down and took his big mighty mace of our rolling abilities and just told us to fuck off. Says so I think we may have to change religions. Um, but yeah, I think we learned our lesson. You know, praise Nuffle, praise him, praise be. By the way, you're looking quite sharp over there, Wolfie. I'm just gotta say that right there.
Oh God. So the last question I really have for now is, in the game, I noticed that you was actually having better luck with the negative dice rolls than you was the actual positive dice rolls.
Yeah, you know, the old saying goes, you know, when you're down, you're already down. You might as well go up. And so we thought, you know, they've been pushing us around all game. Why don't you just go ahead and hit them in the nut sack or whatever those crocodile thingamajigers is that has downstairs. You know, we're not into bestiality or nothing like that. We do have some type of standards. But I'm just saying, you know, I told the boys during the halftime, I said, you know what? I don't care what you do. I don't care if you put your life on the line. Just know that your sister, wife, cousin is in the bleachers, hoping that you do something famous so that we can at least tell our other family members that you did something decent. And I mean, they did it. They did it 3 times in a row. And I got to take my hats off to them. You know, that beer was kicking in. They were all energized. Their baby mamas was screaming from the bleachers, and they put on a good show, I think. You know, so praise Nuffle.
Yeah. So, CBL Gobbo, would you like to ask any questions?
What happened to your strategy plans?
Oh, that thing. Yeah. Well, we have one of our players his name is Jim Bob the Belly Button. He's our big guy. Just about everybody listens to old Jim Bob. And Jim Bob was just like, hey, listen, you need to take some of our runners, the ones that, run to the liquor store and come back because they're so fast. We don't want to stay sober too long. And, AKA, we call them the catchers, I guess you could say. And, our game plan was like, we told them, hey, there's a case of beer at the other end. If you can get there, it's yours, man, but you got to have the ball. And apparently, we picked a little bit of a wanker, as y'all would say over there in the old European lands, to be our thrower. I think he's a little screwy. We love him to pieces, though. He has family, after all. Dark Bob just didn't have the guts in him that day, and messed up that throw that we could have had, which obviously made the whole team pissed off because they weren't going to get beer now. So my strategy was just throw the pigskin, go get your beer so we could get a point on the board, and then we could just call it a day. Because I mean, after you get a little bit of alcohol in you, you don't do too much afterwards.
So, well, it's certainly an interesting strategy. I've got to admit.
Beer's the way, Wolfie. Beer is the way.
Yeah. So after the end of the game, I noticed you sustained an injury. How bad was that injury? Is that player going to be okay, or is they going to need some extra treatment?
Well, the downside with Ivana, Bob, getting injured is that not only are they missing our next game, which is our blitzer, they also have a +1 to subsequent injuries. I mean, that's a big word for us to say, subsequent, okay?
Yeah.
And it's even bigger not having them on the pitch next game. Not enough money to replace them, and we wouldn't replace them anyway because we love them. But it was not foreseen. It was just when Nirvana went down, we all kind of took our American flag hats off, put it over our chest, and prayed to Nuffle for a fast recovery. So yeah, it definitely hurt the team spirit a little bit, but like I said, we believe in the power of alcohol and baby making. So obviously they weren't in the mood for the second, so we made sure some Jim Beam was in their little gift basket to get better.
Yeah, very good. Gabba, you got anything else to add?
What advice would you give to other coaches to beat a lizardman?
To beat a lizardman, it's quite easy. Okay? We figured it out at the tail end of the game, but we figured it out all along. What you do is you do the opposite of what you think you're supposed to do, and you do that. And then make sure you tell everybody on your team there's beer at the end of the touchdown area. Because, I mean, again, beer is the way. Praise Nuffle. Praise beer.
Right. So, anything else you'd like? Yeah, actually, I do have a question for you, Steve. Is there any teams, coaches that you're particularly worried about in the coming season, or are you just gonna stick with a plan of beer is the way?
I think right now, beer is definitely the way. And since we're already on a losing streak, we can't go any further down. We can only go up. And with that being said, we're gonna repopulate the team as fast as we can because we got little Slanky Bob and Through Ball Bob potentially coming onto the roster as soon as they're grown up a little bit more. Bless their heart, they're still sipping on a Budweiser bottle from 2 years ago. So as soon as they're done with that, we're going to put them on the pitch. But yeah, as far as everybody else goes, it's fine. We're there to have a good time. And as long as there's beer, we're in the clear, is what they say. Praise Snuffle.
All right, very good. So, I would say, Gabba, do you want to close this one off?
Steve, how do you feel about going against Wood Elves for your next match?
What else? Well, I mean, you can't really be afraid of something that wears tights on a daily basis and they rub up against trees. I mean, again, our tree don't fork, but we don't fork the tree, if you know what I mean. Um, so as far as going against those tree elf, spandex wearing ninny pants, I'm not afraid of them. I don't think anybody should be afraid of them. I think I'm more afraid of the coach, honestly, than the whole team. Mr. Rosie, I heard, not only being a very good-looking feller, is definitely a ruthless lover. I mean, coach is what I meant to say. And yeah, you don't want to mess. You don't want to brush up against that bark if you catch my drift. So I'm not worried about the team. I'm more worried about the coach, honestly.
All right, and welcome back. So, after those interviews, certainly interesting. Obviously having a guest Gabba on is always good, isn't it? So.
I'm gonna kill that damn thing. I'm telling you. I've gobo shit in my seat now because I left for 5 minutes to do an interview, and then I had to clean it up. I'm seriously. You know what? I'm gonna give a call to the Amazons, and maybe somebody over there, the coach, will sit there and take out the friggin' goblin because I can't get him every time I come into the friggin' room. He's somewhere where I can't reach him. Either he's in front of the desk while I'm friggin' doing my job, or he's friggin' in my chair now. I mean, where else is he gonna be, Wolfie? I don't need shit all over the place for me to clean up. I don't. Where'd you go? You just disappeared. Don't do that. Do you want your seat taken by the goblin? I'm telling you, it's going to take me a week to get this smell out, okay? I'm just saying, be warned.
So, we have final thoughts, really, on the Cold Ones Legion team and the Inbred Mountain Men human team. Got final thoughts on the whole first game of the season, Steve?
But yeah, as far as the season goes, as far as the game goes so far for that match, again, I have no real hatred or displeasure to.
Final thoughts for me would be again, the win kind of went how I was expecting it to. Not the 3-0, but I was expecting a win for the Lizardmen team. It's certainly going to be an interesting lineup for the next load of matches for both sides.
Honestly, I'll say it again. Little Wolf, he did it. He did it. He's gonna have an easy time. He's got good SPP. He's got a nice little spread of it. And I mean, the best of luck to him. I mean, if he wins another one, then I mean, that just goes to show you that age is just a number when it comes to brilliance. And apparently, my mountain men are too drunk to give a shit about numbers and being winners. So.
Well, it's interesting you say that because, as we both know, Fox's next game is the Chaos Dwarfs most kills of the season, which we will be doing our next podcast of that match, because that was the second match that was played, which was most kills of the season versus the Deadfin team.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. I cannot wait. I cannot wait to do that interview, honestly. I mean, my son is definitely one of those that is coming into the game late, so he doesn't have the experience. But from what I understand, that match is going to be fun to watch. I mean, don't miss it. I mean, yeah, it was probably this game is probably one of those ones that if you go to Blood Bowl 2 to rewatch one of these matches and you look it up, it's a little bit one-sided.
Yeah.
But from what I hear, their match, the Undead versus Chaos, it was pretty nice.
Yeah. It was certainly entertaining.
Oh,
So, but we shall leave that to the next one. So, don't forget to like,
comment,
share,
subscribe.
and until next time, we'll see you later.